Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Stuart and I'll be checking out the NETGEAR X6 router on behalf of AVANT Gaming. So I've been given this router to do a sort of quick overview, have a look what's inside, check out the router itself, and I'll be going over the web interface and we'll just see what sort of features this router has. So some of the main features of this, it's a tri-band, so it's got three dedicated Wi-Fi bands. It actually has it on the box. We'll have a look at that later on when we are closer up to the box. It's got dual AC 802.11 AC chipset, so if you're running AC devices, this is going to be a router for you. So you probably notice that everywhere on newer sort of routers, they're saying they're either AC3200, AC1900. I'll just sort of clarify that a bit. You won't actually get those speeds. It's just sort of for marketing numbers. What they do is for this one that says AC3200, not sure if you can see that, and it also says it on the box. Simply means that AC runs at 3200 megabits, so that's 1300 megabits, so that's one lot. Then they add 1300 megabits again for the other band, and then they add wireless N, which is 600 megabits, and those three together give you the AC 3200. So in most cases, higher numbers sound better, and that's what most companies are doing these days with displaying these numbers on their boxes. So moving on, it's also got 5 1 gigabit Ethernet ports, so it's really good to see high-end routers are starting to have those these days. It's got a USB 2 port, a USB 3 port. It's got a 1 gigahertz dual-core CPU, so you're pretty much going to be rocking quite a high-end sort of mini PC in here. Not that you can use it as a PC, but you can do all your things like DLNA. You've got printer sharing. You can actually turn this into a little NAS box. I might go on that later on. I'll stick in a USB drive and we'll fire that up and see how that works. So it's got a heap of features. I won't go any more on those right now. What we'll do is we'll jump in and we'll see what's inside the box. So the first thing you notice with this box is actually quite heavy. I'd probably say this is at least a couple of kilos. So it's always good when you have a bit of weight to the new piece of hardware you buy. So straight away you know it's going to be of good quality. Moving on to the back, I just wanted to mention a few on the Wi-Fi bands. So you got the Wi-Fi band number 1, that's your 2.4 gigahertz up to 600 megabits. So that's for all your legacy standard Wi-Fi devices. And you have the Wi-Fi band 2, which is your 5 gigahertz up to 1.3 gigabits. So that's all your dual band Wi-Fi devices, so you're getting slightly faster. And then we have the third Wi-Fi band, which is your 5 gigahertz up to the 1.3, which is your AC, and that'll do all your dual band AC brand new devices. Moving on to inside the box. Right, so inside the little flashy box is a rather plain box, and then inside that we have the router itself. So it's actually of decent size. At first you sort of think, oh, it's not that big, but if I sort of grab my hand, so that's both of my hands, so you're looking at a very large device, or not the biggest router you see. If you go for a high-end enterprise router, they are huge, but for home use, this is a relatively large device. So we've got the NETGEAR X6. This is your installation guide all the way through here. It's probably best to go through this when setting it up. You don't want to miss anything. It also shows you how to set up it looks like the antennas are already connected. You just got to fold them out, so it'll be handy to go through that. You also get a standard Ethernet cable. So this looks like it's probably just over a meter, 1.2, 1.3 meters, and it's just Cat5e, and it's also got your shielding and silver at each end. It's handy they throw that in. You got your standard IEC power cable, which plugs into the little NETGEAR AC adapter, which has your other plug there. So having a closer look at the router itself, you can see it's a really sort of futuristic design. Kind of looks like something from Star Trek. We have a heap of ventilation all on the top here. You can actually see quite a large, massive heatsink in the center. It seems to be taking up all this area. And then the back as well has a ton of ventilation. Okay, so we'll just have a look at the folding out the antennas. It is a very, very basic task. All you have to do is just literally pull them up like so. And that is it. So no worrying having to sort of screw them on, unscrew them, things like that, and then they just rotate. Well, that one doesn't rotate. It seems like the middle one is stuck in the up position, and then these ones are like that. So once it's out like that, it does look pretty radical. I can't really say I've ever seen a router that looks like this, but I will kind of say that it does look pretty cool. If you had this sitting in sort of your TV room or something like that, where back in the old days where your routers were quite an ugly piece of equipment, whereas now they've certainly modernized. So having said that, we'll move closer up onto the all the LEDs on the front and what some of these buttons do. So starting at the top, I'll move my way down. So we have your power LED, pretty standard on most devices these days. We have your internet light, so that's if you're connected to the net or not. And then we have our 3 wireless bands. These are showing which ones are being used. Then we have, if there's a USB 3 device connected, a USB 2 device. These 1, 2, 3, 4 LEDs are when there's a Ethernet cable connected into one of the gigabit ports. Then we have your Wi-Fi on and off, so you can just simply disable Wi-Fi, yes, no, if there's people accessing it, you don't want people to use it. And then we have the WPS mode for easy connecting devices using this switch. You can just simply on your laptop where you have that option, you can it sort of tells you press the WPS button on your router, and then you press it and then you connect much easier. So moving on to the back of the router, we have your USB 2 port. We have this other nifty little switch, the LED on and off. So what this does is this turns all your LEDs on the top off except for the power light. So if you've got this in a bedroom, a study, or you've got a spare bedroom next to it, and if you're like me, I cannot sleep when I've got all blinking lights on the roof. So we'll just have a little look at that and we'll see how that works. And then as you can see, they just all go out. So that's a really nice little feature there. Then we have our 1, 2, 3, 4 gigabit ports. We have our Ethernet port. So that's for your modem. So bear in mind, this is just a router only. There's no modem built into this. So you will either need an ADSL modem, or if you're running an NBN, you can plug the NBN network device straight into here. Then we have our USB 3. Have a little fine pinhole for your reset. So if it's completely stuffed up with the settings, you can't get into it, you can just hold this down for a certain amount of time and then you can reset it back to factory defaults. We have the DC in, and then we have the power to the device on or off. Connecting to the router is really simple. All I've done so far is connected the supplied patch cable to my laptop, fired on the router, waited for a few minutes, and my laptop has already picked up an IP address from the DHCP server that's in the router. You can also get all this information and steps in the, this is the first fold-out page of the installation guide, so that's really handy there as well. Once you're done, then you just fire up your web browser, you type in www.routerlogin.com up the top. It also has this in the manual as well. I'll just have a quick look and see what the router IP. So the router IP is 192.168.1.1. So that is pretty much standard for routers these days. But you can just use this other built-in web address. And then once you hit enter, it comes up with username and password. This can be found under the router. So mine is admin and password all lowercase. I'll say no. Alright, so once it's initiated for the first time, it takes you to the main basic homepage. So we have a basic and advanced tabs. I kind of like this layout, I think that's handy. Most people can just get away with the basic page. So as you can see straight away, it says I'm not connected to the internet. That's correct. I haven't plugged in a modem. I actually don't have a modem, so I won't be worrying about that. This is probably not too important because even if I did connect the modem and synced on my ADSL, it'll be completely different to say someone else on their ADSL and someone else who's using NBN or something else. So it would purely just determine whether the internet was working or not. Moving on, we have our wireless settings, and you can actually click on each one of these and it will take you straight to the shortcut on the left. The attached devices will show you what devices are attached. So it shows you wired devices. I kind of think that's handy as well. And it also shows you the wireless devices and which band out of the 3 they're connected on. So my laptop is connected onto port number 1 on the gigabit side. All right, going back to home. We have parental controls. Let's see about that. I think that does need to connect to the net for that, so we won't worry about that. Ready share. So what I have done, I have just plugged in a USB stick. I grabbed a random USB stick on my keychain. I haven't done anything. I just went to the Ready Share tab and it says it's already set it up. There's / Ready Share, so I can just go start run / Ready Share, if I can spell Ready Share, and then it just pops up with my shared storage, and it's done, and it had all my files already there. And what I'll do now is I'll just do a quick test. I'll just copy something over and we'll just have a look, something as a reasonable size. All right, so 200 meg, and that's going about 30 megasecond. So that's a really great feature. This isn't the only router that does that. Quite a few routers do this, but it's just handy that it's becoming more of a standard these days. It just saves you having to buy a dedicated NAS. So I've only put in a 32 gig thumb drive, but you can put in anything, a 4 terabyte USB drive, plug it into USB 3, and then you've got always on access to a nice large shared area. And you can also configure this as well. I've only set it to default settings. You can set all your read access, write access, who gets access to it, who doesn't, things like that. So that's handy. Then you've also got your printer share and your NETGEAR Ready Vault with your backup options in there. So that's really handy as well. And we also have your guest network. So this allows you to enable a guest network if you don't want any security features, or you want to give people access to certain privileged things and they don't have to worry about entering SSID passwords and things like that. We'll just have a quick look at the advanced settings. Unfortunately, I don't have any AC devices up and running at the moment, so I'm actually not going to be able to test the AC wireless speed on this device, unfortunately. So moving on advanced, we actually do have a setup wizard. So this is what most people want to use when you're connecting. It's got your WPS wizard for your easy access connection through wireless to the router. And then it's got another setup with your internet wireless, your WAN setup, your LAN setup, your QoS, quality of service. If you're a heavy downloader, you can make that priority. If you watch YouTube videos, you can make that a priority. Just things like that. USB storage. We have more in your basic advanced settings as well, which is similar to where I was before. Security, access control. So you can block certain computers and devices from accessing the network. These are more of your firewall options now. So you got your block sites you can put in. You can put a keyword or a domain. That's really handy. You can block certain services. That's handy as well. You've got a schedule when you can do this, and you can have an email notification. So when something is accessed, it can send you an alert. Right, administration. We have router status. This is similar to the home screen, but it gives you a little bit more information. It gives you the wireless info, and we scroll down and it tells you the guest network as well, and the internet port is not connected. Attached devices. This is just going to take us back to where we were before. So there are some things that are replicated between advanced and basic. So it looks like they couldn't keep it all separated. We got your set password. If you want to change it, it's advised that you do change it from the standard stock one. Backup settings, you can back up, we'll say you configure all this to your liking. You can back it up to a file and save that. Then we have a router update. So this is version 1.0076, and they may update a new firmware with some new features later on. And we have advanced setup. So there's a heap of settings through here. I won't go through all this. I got your port forwarding. If you want to RDP from outside to, say, your media center, you can port for the RDP port, dynamic DNS, VPN settings, and it actually has a handy screenshot to show you about that. So that's interesting. Static routes, if you need that, remote management, IPv6 traffic meter. That's kind of handy that it has that. USB settings. Enable any USB device connected to the USB port. Well, yes. And then we've got the LED control. So it can actually disable the blinking on these. So that's actually really handy. You can enable the blinking, disable the blinking on these LEDs, or you can turn off all the LEDs except the power, which this will do the same as the switch on the back. Alrighty guys, that's it for this quick overview on the NETGEAR X6 Nighthawk router. I was really impressed with all the features that they jam into this router. I did actually test this with the Wi-Fi settings. I didn't have any AC devices, but I was using wireless N. I actually walked around my whole house with the laptop, and the signal was perfect throughout every room I went to. So I was really impressed with that. I do live in a 4-bedroom house, so this is designed for very large houses, very large families, that not so much for one person like me. It'd be pretty much overkill, but if you got a family that you got people gaming, people watching YouTube videos, a heap of mobile devices that are always on Wi-Fi, and when I was in the AVANT gaming house a few months back, closer to earlier in the year, they had the model below this. It was slightly lower spec, and when I went through all the gear they had, I think they had 6 or 7 systems connected to it, had 4 or 5 laptops. Everyone had their mobile device, and when I brought my laptop in and started using their network, it just seemed like I was the sole user. So this one's slightly spec'd a bit better, so this is going to perform even better than the previous one I checked out down there. One other feature that I really liked is that you can turn the lights off on the front. It's not going to be a huge deal breaker for some people to buy it, but some people are probably happy just to put a bit of sticky tape over the top. But it is a nice addition that they've done that. I've never seen a router or a device come where you can just turn the lights off like that. Also, the antennas can just fall back down. Probably not a huge deal that they do that. You're probably not going to be transporting this in your bag everywhere, but it is handy that it does fall down, because if you had to try and transport this like this, it would probably be a complete nightmare trying not to break one of these off. So it's probably good that they did this. Now you can get this router from this NETGEAR router from Scorptech, sorry. So if you're interested in this, check out their website and you'll be able to find all the prices and everything on there. I wasn't able to test everything in this review. Being a router, there's so much you can test. I sort of just did some of the main features and some of the features that I thought sort of stood out and were really handy. So just want to thank NETGEAR for sending this out to test out, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos in the future.